Hey everyone, it's Mercedes The Military Realtor. Today we're at Wash Park, which is here in Denver, Colorado. We're enjoying the outdoors before it turns into official fall season and winter. We're here with Brenda. She's one of the top MLOs out here in Denver, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself. So Brenda, who are you? And an additional question, who are you and why do you do what you do?
Thank you for the introduction, Mercedes. I am Brenda the lender. As we said, we're here in Wash Park. We're in Denver, Colorado. Why do I do what I do? So I think one of the greatest gifts of this industry and this profession for me is truly getting to experience vulnerability with my clients. We were just having a conversation recently, you know, when people are able to vulnerably open themselves up to me analyzing their, ultimately, you know, their full financial profile in hopes of purchasing a home. That's really in depth. A lot of people, you know, that's a very complicated process for a lot of people. It takes years to work up to that point. But to be able to truly help someone achieve that goal of home ownership and to help them create a pathway to building and fostering generational wealth, security in this crazy world and society that we're all living in, that is the biggest gift for me. That's what makes being a mortgage lender empowering. It can come across as a very surface level profession to certain people, but at the end of the day, this is really deep work that we get to do.
Yeah, wow, that's definitely spot on a why, right? Knowing that why too, knowing what drives your ambition, what wakes you up in the morning, what keeps you going during those long transactions, right? That you got to put some extra work in, but it's because it's all for a bigger, it's not for just the paycheck, right? I'm sure we've met a lot of people that they're in it up to a certain amount, and then if it hits a certain amount, they're just like, yeah, this isn't worth it for me anymore. But right, when we're focused on what that why is, and that is something specifically like making someone a homeowner.
Yeah, and changing people's lives, that is really what does it for me. Yeah, I love what I do.
Awesome, sweet. So let's talk about setting the stage for young professionals in real estate.
What is it really like being in the real estate profession in my young 30s? I think that before actually getting into the industry, people really sold me on this profession. Basically, you know, you have unlimited earning potential. And that is true, but the reality of being in this profession is that it's extremely challenging. No transaction is alike. And so you can be doing this for years and years. You can have all of the best support in place, which I do, you know, and it takes effort to even get to that point, to figure out your niche, to figure out your brokerage, the company culture that you are drawn to. There's so many different things that you have to navigate even before entering truly into the industry. And so these are the things that I feel like don't get discussed enough. Also, and I had like this awesome go-to podcast, and it really started confirming for me, you know, don't give up for 2 years. Stick with this for 2 years. Specifically, you know, if you can get through all of the challenges of becoming a new business owner, figuring out your niche, getting the correct support in place, then chances are you have what it takes to be sustainably successful in the industry. But those first 2 years are so hard. And another thing that I think people kind of float around is, you know, realistically, what person has 2 years of living expenses saved? I was for sure set myself up for success. I had substantial savings before getting into the industry. But what average person has 2 years worth of
Exactly.
rent, where you can
Yep.
fully focus on going ham on the career?
Yep.
And honestly, I faced a lot of negative stigma because I had to have another job
Yep.
as I built up my business. And so a lot of people didn't want to work with me.
Mm-hmm.
They thought that, it was me maybe not taking it as seriously, when in reality, that's what I had to do.
You were taking it so seriously.
So seriously.
Right.
I had to take care of myself and my family, and so that was just survival.
Yep.
That wasn't ideal.
Yep.
But those are the things that people really didn't talk about, or, maybe I wasn't aware enough about,
Mm-hmm.
but I think so many people go through that.
Yeah.
And then we get to the point where, if we were at a place in our lives where, maybe we were struggling with our mental health,
Mm-hmm.
struggling with our confidence, our relationships, our communication, struggling to feel financial security, all of those things can be exacerbated as you're trying to, discover the new professional you. And so it takes a toll on your personal life. It takes a toll on your relationships.
It's a sacrifice, right? This energy has to come from somewhere.
Yes.
I like to think that there's, you can always elevate yourself and kind of make a little bit more energy, be a little bit more efficient, but there's a certain level to all of this, and attention has to be taken from elsewhere. That's why being an entrepreneur is difficult, especially dating, but also just distributing your time with friends, family, because 40 hours is a warm-up, like a lot of people talk about. It's like, and we're always working, we're kind of always wherever the opportunity is.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make that divide too, because a lot of people, they're new in the industry and they think I gotta work. Do this with your head down for so long, and then you kind of look up and you realize like a lot of good years pass.
Yeah.
So it's having a mix of both, finding balance, but I've learned that there's a lot of imbalance if you're very like obsessed with it. If you're at this level, it's like there's certain levels where you have to be in balance for a while to achieve that greatness, and then balance out eventually. But it's always gonna teeter-totter, and you gotta figure this out. We always have this.
Yeah.
And it's like, I like to think like it's God giving me a blessing every day. Like I think about it like, oh, I have all these problems, but there are people that wish they had these types of problems.
Yeah. Oh, my mantra just this week, Mateen Cleaves, if you don't know, now you know. You don't got to do it, you get to do it.
Yep.
And that just hit me really deep, because as we're working through what can feel like an endless 10-hour day behind in front of the computer, where some days you don't, even get to see daylight, which, we are privileged that we can be digital nomads in a sense, up to a certain extent. So here we are, we're working from Wash Park. We got the Starlink, we got Wi-Fi,
we got everything we
have
need.
our phones charged up. So like we are completely accessible to the people that we need to be accessible to. And so that's a true blessing. But again, that does kind of make it easier to blur the boundaries between having a healthy work and personal life balance. And, dating, I think, is another thing, another topic.
That's another
it doesn't
episode.
get
That's
discussed. That could be a whole segment,
I mean,
for sure.
That's a whole segment. Dating as an entrepreneur, and it's
the sacrifice. Again, the sacrifices.
It's hard,
Yeah.
but I think it could be great between two entrepreneurs. I think there's a lot of issues when it's one person's an entrepreneur and the other isn't sometimes.
Correct, I agree.
But if two of them are, I think it's a little bit easier, because they understand that your ambition, your purpose will always come kind of first.
Yeah.
And then we can negotiate and compromise. A lot of it's communication. It's like, well, some entrepreneurs are good at communication, but people don't want to have the hard conversations.
Yeah.
And I love the hard because it's like, this is it. All the easy stuff is easy.
Yep.
This is the time to be different, and to, when someone would traditionally take a day or two to respond, or they're tiptoeing, no, immediately let's get to the hard questions.
Yeah.
Because that changes, that the answers to those questions really pivot a lot of things, right? Whether it's in a transaction, trying to help someone purchase, or in a relationship, right? Getting to those hard questions. So in dating, I'll ask someone immediately, like, okay, how many kids do you want? All this stuff. And it's like, it's just like a criteria. If you know what you want, you've been through life enough, you can have your own criteria, your own boundaries. But as an entrepreneur, it's very hard to explain to people that type of work dynamic. But the people that sometimes don't try to convince people either. Like, there's certain people that they'll never understand you, and that's okay. They most likely never want to understand you. They're always trying to overstand you, right? And that's okay. I'm not here to convince you, right? Just like in our professional careers, if someone doesn't want a product or it's not for them, I'm not going to sell you this. Like, I'm not going to push you for this item at all. You know. But yeah, dating, that'll probably be an entire whole episode, and we'll talk to a few different entrepreneurs to see what they think about.
We'll gauge interest for sure. I think there could be some good stuff there.
There's definitely an interest there. So we'll talk about that on the next episode. All right, let's see what we got next. You getting eaten up, girl.
They're just like tickling me. They're not biting.
Okay.
But still.
All right, let's see.
That was good. We're getting warmed up here.
Yes, sir.
I love it.
Okay, let's see. Question topic 1. Okay, what's one thing clients know? All right, so we have a realtor and a lender here, which I like having both dynamics and always tapping into other sectors to learn more, because we're all a team, right? We all come together to basically make a team, to make transactions happen, to make dreams come true. So my question is, what's one thing that clients may not know, right, about working with both of us or one of us, right, just a lender or a realtor, both of us as a team, that can save them money? I
have worked on transactions where I don't necessarily have a long-standing relationship with the realtor. I also know what it's like to work with a realtor, you know, where we do have a really great relationship. We've taken the time and intention to build a system and process, you know, from onboarding, you know, as far as, you know, one-on-one client conversations, onboarding, taking the time to spend one-on-one FaceTime with our clients, because there's so much BS that can happen on any given transaction. Challenges are realistically always going to arise. And so when lender and realtor can have a symbiotic, cohesive relationship and we can work together, I've seen it save deals. And so the amount of time and effort it takes to even get a client under contract, even just working together with a realtor very recently to get a client under contract, you know, they had 2 offers that were not accepted, and then we came together and agreed, you know, we sat down, we created a plan where we contacted the listing agent. The listing agent asked if, you know, closing funds had been verified, and, you know, why a lender wouldn't verify closing costs prior to getting under contract. You know, it happens. And so I think, you know, that question alone, I know the answer got us under contract. And so had we not had that communication, had we not had that plan, they could still be trying to submit offers and getting outbid, because, you know, with this, with the rate cut this week, I'm already seeing competition pick up. I'm already seeing clients submit multiple offers and, you know, having to come out of pocket over purchase price, which actually happened to me in April of 2022. So anything that we can do to start having the conversation and, you know, basically prepare our clients together 2 years ahead of time, that takes so much time and effort. And to have a realtor professional partner makes a huge difference and provides huge value add. Yeah, definitely. Like, we have a lot of clients that want to do for sale by owner, which isn't a bad idea at all if you have the expertise, the know-how, the time to really get into it. And for me, what I find is the easiest way is quantifying this, right? Is,
are we going to make you and save you money in this transaction, right? Because with the whole NAR settlement that's been going on, it's been a crazy circus, and a lot of people are saying, well, what's your value? What's your value? And I'm like, you guys didn't know this before? You guys should have known what your value is from day one of,
Correct.
like, we're not, people put a bad stigma against used car salesmen all the time. I don't know why, but we're not just salesmen that are trying to move a product, right? At least we shouldn't be.
Some are.
Some are, right? And you have to be able to know that difference, right? If the client's not ready and that's not the best scenario for them, I personally am not going to suggest this option. I'm going to tell them what the best route is. Hey, maybe we should wait 6 months, a year, or this other process, but we're not just trying to move product like that. Sweet.
And
I forgot what point we were on, but
I know, right? So, I mean, I already know we're going to have to be, very competitive with our commissions, our compensation agreements. So, there are other ways we can really get creative, help our clients save money at the closing table, give back to community, give back to charity. There's a lot of ways that, we can really help make it more accessible.
A lot of realtors have to know their value, right? And you're talking about competition with others right now with NAR. There's a lot of folks that are going down to 1%, right? They're basically doing a battle of commissions.
Like straight off the jump.
Which in any type of business is, well, if you're getting into war of price, that's a different type, right? You're going to get beat out depending on how low you can really go. So it's really, I find it like knowing your value and sticking to it. Just know your commission, and people are going to do business with you because they like you and because they trust you, right? Not necessarily if it's 2.0 or 2.5. And the people that do choose to do business with someone else over that small amount, right? Over the quality of work and service and the relationship, maybe you don't want to do business with them. So maybe sometimes you're in an economic situation where you do, and you do have to try to beat that rate, whatever it is, cool. But if it's not you, it's not you, So, and I fear that a lot of people are going to start going lower and lower, and it's going to be, how low can we go? And then it becomes Zillow prices 1%, Redfin prices, right? And we get to this bare minimum, and now we're backed in a corner where if you're an above and beyond realtor, it goes unnoticed because people are just going to be like, whatever, this is 1%. Or even on your side of the house, I don't know how that can affect, but really just standing on business, standing on who you are, knowing your value. What is your time worth? What are the things that you're providing, right? Are you doing full photo packages? Are you doing 360 videos? Are you actually doing paid marketing like PPC, social media? Do you have a private website, right? Are you getting it cleaned? Are you getting it staged? Like, all these things go into kind of your value on the realtor side. They all make up your value, and they may make the difference of, that's why I charge 4%, or that's why I charge 3%, or 3 bananas, or 4, whatever you want to charge, versus some other people where it's just, I'm going to do it as cheap as possible.
Right.
As best as possible, and make them homeowners and investments, buy, sells, it doesn't matter, anything basically guiding through real estate, right, on the lending side and also with the strategic parts on the realty side.
Yes, and again, to kind of circle back to the value add of a realtor who knows their worth, and even with how competitive the market is already starting to be, there are some agents who can't even get their clients under contract. And so I think that really just goes to show there are so many different levels of skill set in even just writing a competitive offer. So to, have a unified relationship with a realtor, again, to build that foundation, to filter clients who are aligned with us, who do see our value, again, like, those things take time to foster. But when you do take the time to do it, that's when the magic happens.
That's
and
when the magic happens.
Again, that's when lives are changed for the better. And that's when clients will go to the end of the earth to refer you, word of mouth, help you succeed, help spread that, and help other people that they know and love accomplish the same goal of homeownership.
Now, from the perspective of a lender, right, on that side of the house, do we think that Denver's real estate market is still hot? right? We're talking about right after a 50 basis points cut. Do we think and especially coming into fall, we know cyclically, right? This is the start of the slowdown after summer going into fall and winter, right? But do we think that the market's going to have a little bit of uptick with this cut?
Absolutely. And in this week alone, I'm seeing an uptick in mortgage loan applications, in interest to getting pre-approved, interest in even starting the conversation for those that are just entertaining trying to enter the market, but, they don't know what the work experience is. They don't know what down payment requirements are. So in the very beginning stages, I'm seeing a huge amount of interest. And again, I was having conversations with clients, my clients that are under contract right now. I'm so relieved for them. I'm very happy for them because I think things are going to start getting challenging. I feel things heating up on the mortgage application side. So this is going to start trickling and flowing into your market. And so, yes, I'm already seeing multiple offers. This rate cut definitely just opened up the market to realistically hundreds to thousands of borrowers here in the Denver market. I think that transplants are continuously still looking at Colorado as a very desirable location. So we're getting Californians, we're getting Floridians, we're getting New Yorkers. It's really kind of, it's constantly shifting and evolving the market here. But yes, I see things continuing to pick up.
Okay, now do we think these are going to be pre-existing homes or new constructions?
I think that it will be a combination of both due to inventory. Realistically, there's a shortage of inventory. It's really difficult right now for first-time home buyers that are looking in that $400,000 to $500,000 price range. That is the new construction inventory that's being built. So, it's going to be helping meet the need and the demand for that purchase price. However, there's always going to be a trade-off. Those are happening in these locations that are less desirable, where there aren't the amenities, where they might be very industrial. And so that's a huge trade-off. And people who are transplanting to Denver, they don't want to be living next to, semi-truck storage facility when they could be living near Wash Park. So I think it will be a mix. I think it's going to be a mix. I think that new construction, it's serving its purpose, absolutely, because there are people who otherwise wouldn't be able to cross into, that barrier of home ownership.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I've been seeing with new construction as well. There are some pre-existing, but everything's a trade-off when it comes to these new constructions. If they're in the bigger planned areas, they're going to be out of town, right? We're talking Green Valley Ranch, we're talking by the airport, we're talking Parker, going south, filling all those communities that have filled up between Denver and Colorado Springs, right? Everything has just been popping up here and there, but there's incentives going with new construction, right? And there's also incentives not going with new construction as well. I won't comment on it too much, but it is a little different process if I have a buyer that wants to go new construction because of the difference in the contracts and what they can provide as new as builders. Their contracts protect them very much, but still I'm still an advocate for them. I'm still an advocate for doing the right thing for what the client needs, if that's new construction, or if that's not. Just 2 weeks ago we closed on a pre-existing with a VA loan. Veteran bought his first home, and that was at basically 340, right? 340, and with about 17K in concessions, right, towards him, which we could have done a lot more, possibly, but that's what we fought for, and that's a good amount, right, compared to some people who have to come to the table, right, with money to close.
On that purchase price, even to ask and obtain 3%, that's crushing it.
So they can be found, but it also depends on the type of people that you're working with, right? The type of team, the lender, and the realtor that you're working with, and what your timeline is, what's your criteria. That's a big thing I talk to people about. Like we have to focus this criteria down so that we know exactly what we're looking at, because we can't look at 5,000 properties online and make the best decision. We need to really narrow this down to exactly what you want,
right,
to then produce the result, right? By working together, right? Especially as a cohesive team. Communication goes a million miles, especially right working with the client themselves. Like, we love communication. Over communicate. Tell me all the things you're thinking about so I can find exactly what you need, and serve you exactly how you need as a buyer or a seller. So
and this, on another level, just another advantage of working, as a unified team. We're pretty self-aware individuals, and I've had it come up where my realtor partner realizes that our mutual client is going through a family situation. They're dealing with a loss. Something came up. They're struggling with their mental health. They are neurodivergent. There are so many contextual factors that are just helpful pieces of information to know. If I know that I'm working with a client who is neurodivergent, I will go above and beyond to be as informed as possible while working with them to make this process smooth and easy. I think that there's so many ways, again, that we can add value. And when you are self-aware and when you work with people who are compassionate and truly care about the people that they serve, it really does. It goes a long way. It helps make deals smooth and successful, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, I like it. So the next time you work with a lender, which should be her, or a realtor, which should be me, right, ask, or anyone else, ask what their value is, right? I think that's a good question to really put it on. And I'm putting it out there just as a challenge for everyone. Like, you should, even before the NAR settlements, what is your value? Because you're providing a service, right? Whether it's lending, whether it's realty work, whether it's title work, whatever. Like, what is your value that you're bringing to this client? Because if you're just there to be a middle person and to get a portion of it, that doesn't make sense. You got to figure out what your value is and quantify it too, right? You can say, I'm going to save you $25K. And someone, right, they're like, well, that sounds good to me, and I'm going to give you the best service possible, right? And I'm going to treat you exactly how you were talking about with the personalities, right? That's extremely important too, right? Knowing when it's not the right fit, right? Knowing that, look, actually, I know the best realtor for you. Maybe, hey, this isn't, and you have to be able to know that, because I've done business with folks where I had the hunch, right? The universe was telling me, my gut, like God was telling me, hey, this isn't it. There's some red flags here, and it ended up being a ton of red flags, a billion red flags, and I was like, I should have listened. And it's true, right? On the professional side, you shouldn't be shooting for every client, right? It should be natural. It should be organic. Like my previous client, we are friends, and like we connect as being men together, as being veterans, and as being friends, and we just happen to do some business together. But I love it that, like, I'm gonna remember that for the rest of my life, right? So these relationships really are what matter in the long run for everything.
Creating these connections. Connection really is the true gift. Connection, that is the value.
Beat. All right, so we just had the first round of rate cuts, which was surprisingly, I would like to say surprisingly, 50 basis points. A lot of people were talking about maybe 25, right? So we got 50, which is a big thing, which the last time was in 07, right? A lot of people are making some comparisons between 07, 08 and the times that we're in now. But with this cut, and possibly a cut in November, and possibly a cut in December, right? Where do you think our market is going, right? Do we think it's going to over time keep pressing upwards? Do we think it's going to maybe slow down for a little bit, and then we're going to kind of come through it together as a nation? Or do you think it's going to get a lot worse?
That's a loaded question.
Why not?
No, I'm joking. this is the question going through
Yeah.
everyone's mind. I think about this and I get asked this question every day.
That's why we asked it, because we know that that's what they're all thinking.
Yeah.
So it's like, we gotta at least give them this one.
For sure. Real talk.
Real talk.
I think, the cut was aggressive. I love to see it again. I'm seeing the market. I'm seeing market momentum, actually.
Okay.
I'm seeing people unprepared for this.
Yes. We've been
People
saying this for a while, too.
Yes. Consumers, industry professionals are unprepared for how things are about to start shifting and picking up. That makes me a little nervous because there's a trickle effect. Everything is connected.
There's a lag.
Yeah, there's a backlog, Now this means like processors and underwriters and the back teams that you don't see, all the other layers that go into facilitating these transactions. There's a backlog too.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to emotionally and physically prepare myself for things picking up. I'm so thankful that I did.
Yeah.
The entire team that I surround myself with, we've been preparing for this for months. We've been preparing for this market shift all year. And so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really confident, but I'm seeing how other people are totally unprepared.
Yeah.
And things are really, like I said, things are going to start heating up.
Yep.
Everyone has been waiting for these rate cuts, but the reality is that this will create other challenges in the market. Again, we're seeing multiple offers. We're seeing people having, they're going to have to start paying contingency gaps. And I don't love that. I do not love that. I've been a victim to that. Not a victim, but, I've gone through that myself. And yeah, it's going to get a little crazy.
Yeah.
The elections.
Oof.
I just think
that's a big topic.
Yeah,
that's a big topic,
people
right?
keep wanting more and more rate cuts, but it's going to make things more and more challenging for consumers to enter the market. So just be careful what you wish for. And seeing a 50 bips, seeing that cut does not translate to, seeing 50 bips saving on your current interest rate. So that's another really big misconception I've been having a lot of conversations this week.
Let's explain that one right there, because that's super important, right?
Yeah.
What does the Fed cutting by 50 basis points, what does that actually translate to? The misconception maybe that people think it translates to exactly a 0.5% interest rate cut. Can you explain to us what it exactly is?
Yeah, and so I've seen some variability, but this is what a majority of clients who are under contract, yes, they've immediately thought, okay, I'm going to see this savings in my interest rate. However, there's a lot of other factors. There are, job reports, inflation. These are all other factors. The stocks, they get impacted from this rate cut. So what I'm seeing, I have been seeing substantial savings, an eighth of a point to a quarter point. I've seen more than that for some clients who are under contract. But yeah, the reality is that if we really are seeing this substantial savings in interest rates, it's going to be an extreme challenge, again, getting people under contract, getting new homeowners to enter the market. So for the feds to take things slow, to play things a little safe, more on the conservative side, that's ultimately what I would like to see, to try to help minimize, kind of try to do some damage control, because I feel things heating up.
So if we just got 50 basis points, you said you would like to see another 50 right in November, or are you saying maybe 25 in November and 25 in December?
I think the general public, they want to see 50, and then
what, another 50?
Of course, yeah, they're just like, keep it coming.
But that's the thing, that's what the public wants to see.
I don't want that.
And we're going to re-accelerate, right, again, and we're going to get whipsawed.
Yes.
Right, and that's what they've been, 2 years of not making adjustments, trying to wait for a time like this. And I think it is interesting with election time. This is our friend Joe over here. Say hi to Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Especially during the election time, right, matching up with the end of the year to holiday spending, right, we have a lot of variables at this point. And I think that may be what a lot of industries want. They want a lot of variables. So we're very distracted and we're not putting the clues all together, right, to help see us where we're going. I try to tell people, look with forward vision, not at exactly what's happening.
I love that.
And I think that's a lot of what we do too, is we try to provide this content, this information for free online to give you a heads up. That's our duty, is to sound the alarm a little bit before, right, a lot of these things happen. But we're professional advisors, right? And I think that's a great purpose for us. Just to share this information of, like, we have known the probability of rate cuts for months now before the official bell has announced. And we've been telling people, hey, we're already doing loans at these lower rates because these lenders can choose to do that if they see the probability. They can choose to cut these loans at how they will, right? So if they're doing them early and we match it up with these rate cuts, right, we can come in and basically also time that November we have a high probability, and possibly December as well we have a probability of another cut. So don't refinance right away, possibly, maybe wait. But if you're looking to buy, always buy, because it's more important to spend time in the market than it is to time the market. Right, get in now, because like you're saying, the market's going to heat up. You have applicants coming in, right? As more people qualify, it's supply and demand, right? New construction and pre-existing, that supply hasn't gone up very much. We still have the lock-in effect, right, of pre-existing at 2%, 1.75%, 3%. So really putting all of this together is, well, then, like you're saying, we're going to have some sales price go up. We're going to have some contingencies, some concessions. Maybe it's going to start turning from where it was a lot weighted on the buyer side to now some of the sellers are like, okay, you know, I see there's a little a squeeze there. But regardless, you mentioned this earlier about people that are basically ready to have the conversation. Right. And I think that's a very important part that a lot of people miss, and especially in this realtor-lender relationship, where I'll talk to people, to prospective clients, and I mentioned that they should really be talking to you first, a lender first, because we need to take a look at this financial picture, have a vision, and that you provide a playbook moving forward, because we've looked at the finances, we've done a soft pull, we've done XYZ. Now we can set a target. You may be ready and qualified right now. A lot of people will especially veterans, will be like, I'm trying to save 50, 60K. And I'm like, why? You know you don't need to come to the table with that. But getting with the lender first, having this playbook made, and then having the target set, and then basically working with the realtor like myself to then execute on those orders. And if there's adjustments, we make adjustments. But we have to have a target to be able to shoot at something, right? Of, hey, we're gonna buy, like I'm working with the client, he says he wants to buy before the end of the year, right? And we have a full criteria of all the properties he's looking for, right? That's attention and intention mixed together of, this is what we want and this is what we're doing. And working with the lender first definitely helps, right? So can you explain how working with the lender first, right, can definitely shape the trajectory of your home buying journey?
Yes, I would love to. I think that I really do love to start having the conversation with clients before they know that they are ready.
Oh.
Yes, because...
How does that even happen before they know?
It's tough. It takes...
So you got to know before they know. That's right.
It takes being a mental magician. It takes micro-seeding. It takes implanting, having this perception of the market. It takes speaking from my own personal lived experience. Who wants to be 7 months pregnant getting hit with rentflation? If you don't know what rentflation is, that means, you know, my 15-month lease, everything is good, and then, you know, 3 months prior to the end of my lease, I'm looking at paying an additional $900 a month. So it was really quick and easy for me to, if I'm just looking at it from a black and white point of view, what I will be spending on rent will be more than what I would be spending if I buy a home right now. So I just really love to start prepping and talking about this to people so they don't end up in a situation where they get nailed with rentflation, because people are already living paycheck to paycheck, and then you end up in a situation like that.
Yep.
And what do? Some people don't want to have to get a second or third or a gig job in this
The gig economy
society.
is running rampant, and some
Yes.
people love it, and and look, we can use gigs, right, in your income to
Yes,
qualify. Don't get
absolutely.
us wrong, but right, with all of these job reports coming
Yeah.
out, they were being manipulated, and it's like, well, people have 3 jobs to try to satisfy what was one job back in the day.
Correct.
Right.
So to start to have this conversation, to me, is a proactive tool to help protect you and your future financial situation. And yeah, there are people just don't always understand what goes into the home buying and what actually goes into a qualification or a pre-approval. So for you to be aware that lenders are going to be looking for 2 years of consistent employment and income history, that they're going to have credit requirements. Some borrowers don't even have established credit. So to be able to start the process 2 years ahead of time, those are just the things that we need that are necessary to set you up for success, to make it possible to even happen.
Yep.
So yeah, it does take a lot of foresight, but us working in the industry, we're having these conversations constantly.
Exactly.
With our friends, with our loved ones, in so many different circles
Yep.
and demographics, and we're putting this content out there. We're hoping it's received by people who think they might want to buy. And again, I didn't even think I wanted to buy. I didn't even think I was ready. But then I learned that I was, and I realized I was protecting myself from inflation, and I had to do it. And I do not regret doing so.
Yep.
But again, had I timed the market a little bit better, had I realized that I was really very well prepared before rates started increasing in April of 2022, I wouldn't have paid $40K over ask. So that's a pain point
Yep.
that I don't want my clients to have to experience. And
Yep.
again, I don't regret it. Here I am, over 2 years later, and I don't regret building upon my equity and not having to pay rent to Graystar.
Right. A lot of people talk about the interest rates, right? That's the big buzzword. Interest rates this, interest rates that. Okay. What's the interest rate on renting? It's 100% because you ain't getting none of that money back, right? So it's not 6%, it's not 5%, it's not 3%, it's 100%.
Yeah.
You're not getting that money back at all, right? And through real estate, that's where you can really achieve the benefits, and it's a good shelter, it's a good vehicle. You get to live in it, right? I mean, you may live in it or you may have rentals, but it could provide you shelter. It's a hard asset. It's durable during difficult times and recession. Holds its value very well, depending on where you buy, right? Florida's having some condo issues right now. We've had a condo crisis before in the past. All right, Brenda, as a Denver lender, what would be your best financial advice for first-time home buyers?
My advice to first-time homebuyers here in Denver and everywhere is to be vigilant about your savings and to be vigilant about your financial profile as far as credit. Getting your credit, having excellent credit takes work, and it will help you save money at the closing table and your interest rate in the long run. So these are things that if you can be proactive about now, fostering and building good credit, and also, of course, grooming your income. We did kind of mention the gig economy, and yes, there are situations where we can qualify people using, their self-employment, their 1099 income. I've seen this gig economy be a huge resource for first-time home buyers, and actually this is basically kind of how I hacked it myself. I had my nonprofit salary, I had that income. It really wasn't what I wanted it to be to qualify for what I wanted, and so also, I supplemented that with gig work. So it helped me, basically help with the savings that I needed. It really didn't boost my income a lot, but it helped with savings, and I think that's extremely important today. Savings, it's a huge factor. It's the biggest factor, the biggest barrier to home ownership is the cost. So not everybody has the privilege of obtaining a gift from a family member or a loved one.
That doesn't need to be repaid back, and that's in writing.
Correct.
Has to be like that.
A true gift. Not many people have that. Not everyone is going to be getting an inheritance. Not everybody has generational wealth that they can build off of. And so, yes, being vigilant about your savings, if that means having to get a second job to help you prepare and be where you need to be, I think people also need to start shifting their mindset. People think that they want to be homeowners. People know that they want to be homeowners, but they're not doing what it takes to get there. You really have to be committed to this. It takes so much work. Like, it really does.
Pop off.
So, if you want it, you can absolutely make it happen. And I don't like seeing people in this victim mentality that I can never afford a home in Denver because that's cap. That is untrue. Those are very limiting beliefs, very negative self-talk. Because you can set yourself up for success. Again, it takes work, it takes grooming, but it takes knowing what you need to do to get pre-approved. So again, having the job history, building your credit, fostering a savings. It's not easy. And trying to have a boyfriend or something in this world, it's so hard.
No, focus on yourself. Focus on yourself.
But again, just save, work hard, and you will get to reap the benefits of what you sow. So save your money, nickel and dimes. Any way you can supplement. If you know you can't save, then you have to supplement your income. So, there's really only one or the other, but that's...
Now, I think about this is kind of coming from the left field, but let's entertain this for a second. On the lending side, right, we have the rise of the gig economy, which we really didn't have in the 90s and 2000s leading to 07, 08. But we do now. 07, 08, we saw a lot of poor underwriting that then led to a lot of issues down the road. Now, with people really wanting to be homeowners, could we see lenders or people themselves kind of adjusting their gig income, right? Because not all income needs to be reported in a certain way sometimes. Some of it could be self-reported. Could we see a rise of that could, right? And that leads to future trouble down the road, which leads to possibly foreclosure, way more issues, and it's really not worth it. So I don't advocate for it. I don't advocate for falsifying or exaggerating numbers, because it's going to bite you in the butt later down the road, unless you're making a bunch of cash flow from it somehow and you could recover. But right, what I just think of is, well, how does possibly, right, we want people to be homeowners, and people really deserve to be homeowners, but is there gonna be possibility a little flex of the numbers again, and how do we maybe prevent that?
That's a great question. I know that there have been so many protective changes to the industry and to lending itself since 07, 08, just to help prevent those predatory lending situations and the cycle that it threw the economy into. So there have been tons of preventative changes. There are so many requirements. That is why we analyze income. That is why we analyze debt. That is why we are figuring out what your exact debt to income ratio is.
Tell them, see, if they don't ask you this stuff, if your lender doesn't ask you, it's shady. It gets pretty shady.
And I see it all the time, even outside of the gig economy. We'll have a dual income household. Earners are making great money. You know, but they both have a car payment. Yes, they qualify for the $800,000 home, but do they want that monthly payment? I think, yes, I come across this situation a lot where you can max out your income on your pre-approval, but that means that you're paying over $5,000 or $6,000 per month, and do you really want that? And then, you know, can you really afford to have the lifestyle that you were living up to that point? Because it can be a huge shock. I do see payment shock. You know, people have been renting for years and years and years. You know, they're fortunate enough to have that amazing private landlord for 20 years that unfortunately doesn't want to sell to them. So now, although they're making great income, they're going to experience a huge payment shock no matter what.
Oh yeah.
And so they're making, you know, 15 grand per month, but they're still technically living paycheck to paycheck, unable to save, and their living expenses are going to go from, you know, $1,500 a month to $4,500 a month. That's extreme. And so a lender can sell that all day, because they know that this person wants to get into that home. They're going to do whatever they can to become a homeowner at this point, and you know they're doing it. They're actively going to make it happen. But it is my job as a fiduciary to let them know how I really feel. You know, yes, you're approved. You're approved.
You got to.
You qualify for this payment, but realistically, on paper you can afford it, but do you really want to be paying that? Those are, again, those hard conversations to have. They're the difficult ones, but I hate seeing people not set themselves up for success. I know the life that they're living and the life that they want to live. I know that they want to travel, they want to have children, and so, you know, to be honest, I forget your original question.
So I'm extremely happy that we came together, and we have to have more, just natural conversation like this. There's a lot of content online where it's like extremely scripted, extremely poignant. Look, we just want to talk about what's going on in the Denver market and nationwide market as well, but from both of our perspectives, coming together. And we'll also have other people on board to bring more perspectives, from title, from specific types of agents, from other types of lenders as well, to really get this big diverse picture, because it's, like you said previously, it's all about communication, right? So one, thank you for coming on, and two, where can people find you so that they could follow your great work?
Thank you for having me. This was a pleasure. I'm really looking forward to, continuing these free-flowing conversations, getting this content out there. If you are trying to work together or look me up, you can find me on Instagram, Brenda the Lender. Also, my number, 570-352-2621. Available by text, call.
What is it again? One more time.
570-352-2621.
Yeah. There we go. Wear it out.
Yes.
Wear it out. Call
Brenda
it all
the
day.
Lender. Brenda
2
the Lender.
a.m.,
I got
1 a.m., all night, bro.
My phone might be on silent, but I do my best. Actually, I got shit for taking a client call during my shower today. Turned off the shower, soaking wet. But, you know, we had been dodging each other's calls, and I wanted to make sure that I was getting
make it happen.
That one-on-one communication. You know, that's how leads get lost. And so if I have to take a phone call standing soaking wet with like soap, you know, getting all over the floor, then I love to do it. That's
we got to do what we
for.
got to do.
Absolutely.
Right.
Anyway, TMI.
So this was a great day at Wash Park, talking, communicating, connecting. We're going to continue doing it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the comments. See you guys.
Deuces.